Welcome. Autonomous and remote mining operations are enabling improved safety and increased productivity. Today, we'll get to hear from Severi Eerola, Product Line Manager, and Robert York, BLM West Africa, how the AutoMine Surface Drilling solution can change surface mining for the better. Welcome to the session. So, Robert, how are you today?
Hey, I'm all good. Thank you, Martina.
And you're based in West Africa, where exactly?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm based in Kumasi, Ghana. It's also the regional hub for West Africa, so we serve most of West Africa from here. Yeah, offices also in Mali and Burkina Faso and Nigeria. And yeah, West Africa, lately we're doing business direct with other African countries, Western African countries like Mauritania, Senegal. Yeah, that's more or less where we operate in West Africa.
Thank you. And welcome to you, Severi, as well. You're based in Finland. Is that so? Where?
Hey, thanks, Martina. Yes, I'm based in Tampere, Finland. We have roughly 1,000 people working at the factory with the drilling equipment, and also the automation development is largely here as well. Good to be here.
And you're an expert on product. Robert, could you tell us a day in your everyday life in Ghana? What does it look like?
Yeah, so Martina, I'm in charge and running the business for automation and digitalization in West Africa. So as I mentioned, based in Kumasi, Ghana, but yes, we travel around a lot. We visit different customers, mine sites. My responsibilities include the sales of the automation, the scoping and the specifications for the mines, the requirements from the mines, assisting with that. Also the competence development, training, setting up the aftermarket support and all of those components of the business. So yeah, we move around a lot. This year was an exception though. We didn't travel that much due to COVID, but we adapted to that also. We did a lot of online workshops. We did a lot of online meetings with our customers. So yeah, we prefer being close to our customers.
I understand that. That is, of course, very valuable. And to the audience, thanks for joining us online too. Post your questions in the comments field and we'll get back to you during the session. And Robert and Severi will answer your questions. So, Severi, what does Sandvik AutoMine Surface Drilling offer to customers?
The AutoMine Surface Drilling is part of the AutoMine product family and offers safe remote operation solution for the Sandvik iSeries rigs. So it's aimed for use when using one operator to run multiple rigs in mining operations, or then running rigs in the if there are hazardous environments. So it can be used in line of sight or from set it up to operate from a control room environment. That's in brief.
And why do our customers decide to implement surface drilling automation? What benefits are they looking to achieve?
Yeah, of course, different customers have different benefits, but typically we hear four main benefits. First of all, it's safety. Less people in the pit. That's better. Taking people out of the hazardous areas. So that's one of the drivers. Then more hours drilling, so shorter shift changes, shorter breaks, more hours drilling. And then drillers are very important, and good driller is something, it's an asset to keep. And of course, when you can utilize a driller, good driller, skilled driller to run more rigs, that's a productivity issue as well. And then you want to keep the talented good drillers happy, to offer them the safer and more healthy workplace, so that they maintain productivity. And the last point is that when the rigs are used in automation, so the automation used is the machine as they are designed to do, and they perform well, and they consistently, and they're avoiding breakdowns and thus having more availability. avoiding unexpected breakdowns. I
Thank
think
you.
these are the
And thank you. And what type of mining operations is the AutoMine Surface Drilling suitable for?
I think for any mining operation really. So we have the offering for the big blast hole production drills on the rotary rigs, and then we have another version of the product that is able for the down the hole rigs and the top hammer rigs with the booms. And the system supports operating 1 to 3 drills from each operating station. You can run it line of sight, or you can if the mine has a good infrastructure, communications infrastructure, it can also be running from the control center or even outside of the mine.
That sounds great. And Robert, breaking down those benefits mentioned by Severi just now, what are the biggest health and safety improvements, would you say?
Yeah, Martina, I mean, looking at it just by removing the drill operator from the cabin, you immediately don't expose him to the dust, the vibration, and all of those hazards. So that is definitely, even by doing a line of sight operation with the AutoMine surface drilling system, you definitely have a reduction in that exposure to hazard. So that is one direct benefit. Removing that operator out of the pit, maybe operating from a remote location, that definitely adds more because you don't transport that operator with a troop or personnel carrier on haul truck roads into the pit, and that also removes that. You also keep other people out of the pit. You don't need to survey your holes if you use the automation drilling system. So that can be done with digital transfer, for instance. So there's a lot of additional benefits. And then also, I mean, if you are drilling remotely, you might opt to drill at closer to a high wall, or you might opt to take an additional bench before you actually do a cut on your overburden, and that is very costly and expensive. You don't have any risk of life when there's no operator in the cabin. So yeah, that is the main benefits for me.
Thank you. And let's join in with the audience. We have a question from Sharon M. Jinju, and she's a mining engineer. What is the impact on the environment? And I'm thinking, Robert, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I think Martina, looking at what the impact of the environment is, I think later on there will be some discussion on benefits and indirect benefits. What we have seen is that some of the fuel rate burn has reduced by using the auto features and the auto part of the rig. So that means that there's less carbon footprint if you burn less fuel. It might not be significant, but it's definitely there. So yeah, there's definitely some improvements and some benefits. You might be able to have your operator sit in a location where he doesn't have to report into the mine, reducing the number of people at the mine sites. So there's additional benefits on that as well.
Thank you. And Severi, I think we're all interested in finding out which drills can reap the benefits of AutoMine surface drilling.
Yeah, it's really targeted for all of the Sandvik iSeries rigs. So for both the rotary drills and the down the hole rigs and the top hammer drills. So just to be more specific, so Pantera DP1500i, the Leopard down the hole rig, DI650i, and also the rotary drills, so Sandvik DR412i and DR416i, and soon it will be also available for the DR410i to list the exact models. But it's for all of the Sandvik iSeries rigs going forward.
Thank you. And could you elaborate a little bit on what ways AutoMine surface drilling improve the productivity?
Yeah, so we see more hours drilling, so shorter breaks, shorter shift changes, quicker shift changes, depending on the mine site, maybe more hours drilling during the blasting or around the blasting time. Then availability of the rig is higher when used with automation. So automation takes better care of the machine and avoids human mistakes. So no breakdown, no unexpected breakdowns. So more uptime. And of course, from driller's productivity point of view, if you are able to operate multiple rigs, you can get more hours drilled by one operator. And especially for the rotary rigs, we see a faster tramming and faster positioning on top of the hole, and that brings some time saving. Not really necessarily a lot of seconds or a lot of time, but getting that time saving every hole, adds up a lot.
Absolutely. Every second counts in terms of adding it together. And if you look at it over a year, it's a lot of time. So, Robert, I know you have an example from working with customers on site. Would you like to share with us?
Yeah, Christina, I think looking at drilling and the benefits of drilling with the AutoMine surface drilling system, you get the direct benefits, which is quite clear. What Severi mentioned, and it's a bit straightforward, saying that having extra time to drill, you will have better production, better performance. So I think what I would like to mention is some indirect positives out of using AutoMine surface drilling. Out of our experience at some of our customers, we see where we are drilling and we have got lower fuel burn rates, so our fuel consumption has reduced by using the auto features and on the iSeries and the AutoMine system. We've seen that our rock tools or drill bits are lasting longer. That is definitely also increasing our performance and our output, increasing your efficiency, and that I mean is direct cost savings in those two examples. If you look at your indirect or down the line, as we say, benefits, having more accurate drilling, you definitely get a better fragmentation. Your blasting performs better. With that, you know that your haul trucks will have a better fill factor, and you will do better with that. And with that also, we've seen that it actually reduces your secondary braking at your crusher, which then also gives you more uptime. So these are also indirect benefits. What we've also seen is that drilling more accurately, you definitely have better floors. So the next bench that you are working on has got a better floor condition, and that also just brings more benefits to you. So that's a positive snowball effect, and it actually influences your down the line also. So that's very good.
Thank you. And some of the challenges as well are worth mentioning. Could you share the experiences of the challenges you see that customers can face implementing systems or solutions like this?
Yeah, definitely, Christina, Martina. It's definitely not straightforward only, and there's always some challenges, some hurdles that you need to overcome. What I can tell you is, out of our experience, usually the system itself is not the biggest problem. Looking at implementing what I mentioned on your bench conditions or your drill floors that you are working on, it's important that is actually in a good condition. The more time the operator spends intervening with the drill to move something around or to do something if needed, the less time he has to focus on a second or a third drill if there's more than one drill in the system. So that's important. The network infrastructure on the mine site, if you do remote drilling, that is also very important. We have seen that the speed of the network might be high, but the speed alone is not what actually gives you a robust or reliable network. For instance, you might have some video drop and you might not even notice it. The video just freezes up for a second because of the network standing for a second. But with safety systems, we don't have that luxury. Our safety systems need to be connected constantly. They're constantly checking whether everything is safe, and that is one of the big things for our system. I think also important to mention is that your way of working will change. the things that you do, you will be doing it in a different way. Your operators need to understand that. All the stakeholders need to understand that. So yeah, I think there's some things that are challenges, but it's not that difficult to get across and get over that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe one thing to complement that or add is the way of work with how to work with autonomous rigs or autonomous equipment on site, and to say, the working procedures with those. And when you're working in line of sight setup, so then it's a smaller change and easier to take that and start that. But when you have a control room operation, then it's a bigger change. Of course, the AutoMine safety system is part of the product that plays an important part of running the remote reading operation safely.
We are not just selling a product and implementing it. It's actually a solution that you are implementing. It's important that all your stakeholders involved need to be aware of that. Everyone that the system and the solution will influence need to understand why you are doing it, what is your value drivers, what's the motivators behind that. As you mentioned, you'll be updating your SOPs, updating risk assessments, and then your process flow might change or be influenced. And then it's important not just to revise it and add the system to it. It's important to really do a rethink of that. You need to know that now that you don't have human life in the rig, you might be able to change some of your safe operating procedures. Let's say, for instance, your no-go zone close to your blasting, you might reduce that from 500 meters to 200 meters, giving you additional 300 meters that you can be drilling during a blast, close to a blast, because you don't have human life at risk in that rig. And there might be a low potential for that actual damage to the equipment during that time. And then, I mean, that is direct increase in your productivity time when you then drill remotely. So yeah, there's definitely some importance behind that. It takes a focus on that. You need to intentionally focus on the change management of that. But I can definitely tell you, implementing it's worth the benefit is worth it.
Thank you. So implementing systems like this require knowledge and experience. And in remote places where mine sites often are located, they sometimes lack the infrastructure. So how does Sandvik deal with these challenges?
Yes, Martina, from Sandvik, West Africa, we support our customers not only to as I mentioned, sell the system. We do scoping with them. We actually look at what their requirement is, how we can assist them in getting that then implemented. We are on site when we do the commissioning and when we do the implementation of that. In one of our projects in West Africa, we supported them in updating that SOPs, doing the baseline risk assessments for it and stuff like that. But then as after-market support, we also then have a couple of levels of support. On some customer sites, we implement a VMI, which is vendor managed inventory, removing some of the responsibility from the customer to know what to keep and what parts to stock. We manage that. Then we also have the option to have expertise on site for a period of time. In some of the countries in West Africa, we have the expertise then in country, and at the very least, we have expertise in region. This limits your delay time or standing time, and makes your turnaround time if you have an issue much faster. And then, of course, we have the global support team that's always also on standby to be able to assist remotely if needed.
Yeah, and as an example, so we just in progress of commissioning an AutoMine Surface Drilling system for a customer, and unfortunately during these times we are not able to travel to site, so we have been able to make good progress on just having completely remote support, and that's not the way we would prefer to do it, but during these times that's the way to go and give the support to customers and enable their developing their operations. We have also organized remote training programs, and of course they have been very very useful during these times. And
Yes, Severi, as you mentioned there, it's important for us as Sandvik to train and upskill our people. It's not something that only the customers need to do with their people. So we're both in the same boat with that. And I can also tell everyone there that Sandvik has developed extensive training offering. The AutoMine Surface Drilling is included in the online e-learning. And online e-learning is split up into three different levels. So the first level in West Africa, we use that as part of our change management or awareness. So we have that, and everyone is involved, and the stakeholders can be involved in that. So it's a general training, give you an understanding of what the product is, how it works, what the components are, that kind of thing. Then the level 2 training is more your operator level, how to use the system, how to actually interact with the interfaces, and how to actually use that to drill with the rig. And then a level 3 training for the e-learning, and that is more focused on your aftermarket support, how to look after the system, how to maintain it, how to do fault finding, and all of those. Then we also have, as you mentioned, the physical classroom training, where we have people that can attend to factory, be there for a week training, intermediate or expert level training, actually hands-on do training on the equipment, and see where it's been developed. Yes, as the COVID time, we didn't have the physical presence because of travel restrictions, but as of lately we did online classroom training with some of our customers, and that worked out very well. So it's still a training officer or a tutor that sits with a small team and actually transfers the knowledge to those persons. And yeah, that has worked very well. We had to learn how to adapt quickly to the new normal and still be able to serve our customers and train the resources.
Thank you. You're absolutely right. Just the fact that we're sitting here in 3 different locations having this conversation is the fact that we do adapt. And we mentioned earlier about how automation requires a new skill set. Could you explain that, Severi?
yeah, I mean, if we start from the operator, so I think that is one of the easiest parts. So really, a good operator is a good operator. So really, going to the remote operation is quite straightforward. The controls are exactly the same at the operating station. So that's a quite straightforward process. Of course, you need to rely on more on the visual information in the gauges, but the transitioning from the in-cabin drilling to the remote station is really straightforward. But it's not just the operators, also that everybody on the site, they need to be aware of that there is autonomous drilling, and what are the right correct operating procedures to work with those who need to start up the system or fueling the machines or do big changes or doing measurements on the pattern. So they need to know the basics of the how to work with the machines and how to, for example, safely approach the rigs. And I think the biggest thing is really the technical staff that need to service the rigs and the systems. And but in Sandvik iSeries rigs, the remote operation hardware on the rigs, it's really highly integrated into the iSeries rigs, and all the sensors and wiring and everything related to the electrics can really be diagnosed through the iSeries features, and so the same skills required for servicing the iSeries rigs as operated manually compared to the remote operation. So that's the same skills needed there. Of course, one clearly a new skill that the sites need to have access to is the networking skills. How to set up the networks and measure them and keep them up and running. That's clearly something that network needs to be rock solid in order to efficiently use the systems.
Thank you. We have another question from the audience, and it's how does the machines deal with the dust and the water-bearing stratas, if there are any? I don't know who should answer this.
Yeah, I've not encountered that. I mean, the dust, it's dust filters on the equipment, but I think for the water bearing strators, I don't know, Severi, if you've had any experience with that, or if we should get back to the person asking the question, if we can ask some of our colleagues to give some clear understanding of that.
Well, of course, the dust and moisture together. If the system has a bunch of cameras and relies on the remote operator relies on the camera views, so dust may pile up in the cameras. So that camera lenses is a one of the daily service, subject to daily service. So you need to wipe the camera screens so that they remain visible. Some of the cameras are located inside the cabin, so the wipers and the can keep the window open so that the visibility remains good. At least that is one aspect of the dust.
Thank you so much. And for you who just joined, we are here today talking to Robert York, BLM in West Africa, and Severi Eerola, who is the product manager for AutoMine Surface Drilling. And Severi, let's get into some details. How does remote operation for surface drilling work, and what is it like to operate a rig with the AutoMine Surface Drilling solution?
Well, in many sense, it's pretty much the same as sitting in the cabin. You have the same controls, but instead of the big windows, you have the two big touch screens and the camera views and the gauges in there. And you use the touch screen and the controls the same way you would be from the cabin, and they provide you the information. The cameras provide you the information on the surroundings and also show a lot of extra information like the inclinations and obstacles in the proximity of the rig. And but of course you're also missing some senses, so you don't feel the pumps and inclination in your body. So and when you don't feel them, that takes some time to use to that missing information. So you need to rely more on the visual information and the sound. There's also sound coming from the rigs that is in drilling equipment is very important. And of course, when then running multiple rigs, then you would be typically overseeing when rigs are drilling, you would be overseeing all of them at the same time and monitoring that how the autonomous drilling is proceeding, and then take over the controls only when required.
Thank you. And how close does an operator need to be to the drill site?
I mean, technically, there needs to be a network and a connection, and that really can be any distance. So if you can have a trailer or van quite close to the rigs and operate from there, or then you can be really far away, like hundreds of miles away. We actually, in a demonstration, we have been running our demonstration rigs in Tampere. We have been running them from Australia, so distances really can be big. But that was more of a demonstration. Of course, still, somebody needs to visit the drilling bench. There's work to do. There's need to fuel the rigs, maybe check the holes, do sampling, casing of the holes, things like that. So, if operator needs to have a role in that work, then it's more efficient. The operator is somewhere close to the bench, or then the work needs to be organized in some other way. So it really depends on how the work is organized. But the operator can be really miles away.
Thank you. And Robert, can AutoMine surface drilling enable drilling in areas previously considered too high of a risk for manually operated drill rigs, would you say?
Yes, Martina, that's true. So what we have seen is that some of the mines and some of our customers actually drills close to the high wall or drills close to the edges of the bench, if there is any, with remote drills. That is a definite benefit. We've even seen some of our customers over old underground works where they decide to drill that remotely just to keep the hazard of potentially drilling into voids or the drill rig dropping into voids, to keep that out. So Yeah, there's definitely potential places where hazard and safety risk need to be taken in consideration, and then the AutoMine surface drilling can definitely play a big role in your operation, adding value and productivity for those areas where they still ought to be taken. We definitely also see that there's potential to increase the height of your high walls if there's no human life. So it's definitely also a benefit there that you don't have to open up your pit and remove overburden, which is a very costly exercise. Everyone will understand and know that. So yeah, definitely it can add productivity, and then there's areas that is deemed to be high risk that you mitigate your risk with a remote drilling system for sure.
Thank you. And Severi, could you let us in on recent development within surface drilling and the future visions around it?
Sure. So yeah, I mean, already today we have the remote operation capability and combine that with the iSeries rig's high level of autonomy. So that's a good package already today. But all the time we are taking further and further the autonomy and increasing the steps that the rig is operating in autonomous fashion. So fully automated alignment, ground support, collaring, hole-to-hole tramming, and path planning related to that. And this is what we call the auto cycle functionality as a whole, meaning that the drill can perform the entire cycle autonomously without the operator involvement. And this this is something that we are working on and testing and running in some sites already as we speak. So making that then more reliable going forward is the vision.
Thank you. And why should someone in the audience who may be considering automation, what should they keep in mind before embarking on this journey? Robert.
Yeah, Martina. I mean, as mentioned earlier, there is some challenges with implementing this. I think firstly you need to make sure that your network infrastructure can support the system, can support remote operations. That is very important. It's a key and critical part of remote drilling. Then also you need to make sure that all the stakeholders involved from the lowest level to the highest level actually understands why you are doing it, what's your value drivers, what's the motivators, and that you have a conscious focus on doing the change management. We usually say to our customers that implementing a system can be done overnight, but changing culture, that can take months or even years. But with as I mentioned, conscious focus on that and working towards a goal with everyone involved, it can easily be bridged, and it will definitely be worth the while.
Thank you. And to sum up this great session, to hear you both talk, I would like Severi to kind of let us in on the key highlights of implementing AutoMine surface drilling system.
Well, more drilling hours in improved safety. I think these are the key takeaways. Solution is available. It's been already successfully implemented and working in customer sites around the world. So there's no reason to wait for the future. It's there, and we have our expertise and support present in all the mining regions. And together with iSeries rigs, it's a really excellent package.
Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us, Severi and Robert. Great having you here. And to the audience, thanks for joining us too. And stay tuned for more.